Yeah. Yeah. I was finna write a song, but I've been hella stressed. But
Hi guys, welcome to our channel.
So, we're back again with some information for those of you who are interested in traveling. We recently traveled as a family with kids, with 2 kids. Traveling during this COVID period is very, very different to what we are accustomed to. There are lots of things that you need to prepare beforehand, things that you need to think about like well in advance, sometimes weeks in advance. So we just thought it would be...
And it can be costly as well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so we just
costly.
thought it would be really helpful to lay out all of the information to everyone who are interested in traveling, so that you actually have tips on what you need to do to save you the time and the pressure. Mind you, again, we're not travel consultants or anything like that, and rules change all the time.
Hello,
All
Jess.
right, hi, Jess. All right, give us a minute. We need to record.
Okay.
All right. Mind you, travel rules change all the time. So depending on when you watch this, the rules may have changed slightly. They may have changed entirely. So please make sure that you still check the rules.
Yeah.
So, Kev was the one who had the pressure of getting everything prepared. So he's going to be the one to walk you through the process and what you need to do really.
Yeah. So the absolute first thing that you need to do when you're traveling to Barbados is to download an app called the Bimsafe app. It's an app that was developed by the Barbados government, and it's supposed to be used for travel. So it's available on the Android store as well as the iPhone store, and that's an absolute must to be able to get through the process when you land in Barbados quickly. Right, so once you download the Bimsafe app, there's a travel form in the app that you need to fill out. It opens about, I think you fill it out 72 hours before, and you have to fill it out by 24 hours before. So
it opens 72
it
hours.
opens 72
hours before, and you have to
travel.
complete it.
Yeah.
Within 24 hours of traveling.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so once you fill out that travel form, you have to list all the passengers that are traveling with you. For us, it would have been 4 persons in all. So once you've done that and you complete it, then you're sent an email with a couple of travel codes for each passenger. The next step, once you have that, is to use the Bimsafe app. There's an option where you can add travelers within the app. So there's an icon in the top left hand corner from what I remember, and then there's an option there to add travelers. So the next step is to add each traveler within the app, and you have to use the travel codes that were sent to you via the travel form. Now, the forms that are sent back to you via email, the completed travel forms, you absolutely need to print out, because this is used later down in the process once you arrive in Barbados. Okay, so once you've completed the travel form and added each traveler, there are 3 sections within the traveler section in the Bimsafe app. There's a section for COVID-19 tests, there's a health questionnaire, and there's, what's the last section?
Vaccination.
Yeah, vaccination section as well. So for each of those sections, you'll need to, once you have the results for each of those sections, you'll need to upload that to the traveler form. So for the health questionnaire, that can be filled out without any testing or anything, but it's the PCR test. You'll need to upload the once you've done a PCR test, you'll need to upload that result to the form, and the vaccination result, if you've been fully vaccinated or not, you'll need to mention that and upload it if you have it as well. So if we talk about the PCR test for a little bit, for us, we did it via Boots. That was the most convenient for us, and it was about 85 pounds. And for Barbados, once you're 5 years or older, you need to do a PCR test. So for our daughter, we also had to get one done for her. So it was pretty straightforward to do it. You have to register.
That was £85 per person?
Yeah, per person. Yeah. So you have to, Boots has a website that you register on, and you book an appointment for the test. And I think we traveled on the, was it the Monday, and we did the test on the Friday.
So at a maximum 72 hours before, 3 days before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty straightforward. We just went to our local Boots and got the test done. And we got those results within, I think by this Sunday we got the results, and we uploaded the test, the certificate to the travel form.
Yeah.
Anything else about that? Oh, one key thing, print everything. So if you get the results of the PCR test, make sure you print it and carry it with you, because it may be a case that when you get to Barbados you can't log online. So
good point.
Yeah, ensure you have everything printed so that the authorities in Barbados could verify once you land.
When we got to Barbados, once you complete all of that information and you load it up to the Bimsafe app, when we arrived at the airport in Barbados, we disembarked the plane. There was a coach waiting for us as soon as we got there. The coach took you not too far, it just took you further up so that you can go to the actual place where they do all of the testing, the processing, and then the testing. Because we had completed all of our information on the Bimsafe app, it was pretty seamless. And given that we had kids, we were able to bypass the long queues, because we had an 8-hour flight from London Heathrow to Brantley Adams Airport. So once we got there and they saw that we had kids, they told us to go straight around, bypass the line. Yeah. They asked us for all of our information.
Yeah, so they asked us to see the vaccination results as well as the PCR test results. Now, one thing about the vaccination results, I know there's a COVID app that the NHS has. What we did was to request the result via a certificate as well, so you can do that online. I'll drop the we'll drop the link below so you can
in the description
access
box.
that. Yeah. Because it's very handy to have all of that printed.
Yeah.
So once they check that the PCR test is fine, the vaccination result is fine, then they take some passport details and give you like this little vial that has in some
before we get to that part though, back to when they're checking through the documentation, they ask you if you're vaccinated or not, and if you're fully vaccinated, they give you a particular colored armband. I'm not gonna say which color because it may change by the time you guys see this. I don't know. But there were 3 different colors, one for non-vaccinated, one for like if you were partially vaccinated, and then another for fully vaccinated. So they give us those armbands, and you're supposed to wear those until you get back your results, your negative test results.
Yeah. So once they've taken the passport information and they've given you this little vial, the next bit is to go in. They usher you into another room, and that's where you get a PCR test done at the airport, and they take the vial and the PCR test is done right there. One thing that I forgot to mention, on the plane they hand out these quarantine forms where you're supposed to list out what you just did.
Sit back a little bit, man. You're blocking my light.
Okay. One thing I forgot.
Start saying on this.
Well, good on. What?
Blocking my good light, man.
Alright, okay. One thing I forgot to mention was that on the plane, the airline handed out this quarantine form where you're supposed to fill out where you're staying on the island, and that's used as well in well, later in the process with customs. So just something to mention there. What next? So once you've got the PCR test done, you go directly a short walk to customs, and once you go to the officer, you have to show the travel codes that you would have had, as well as your passport. And once that's done, then you get ushered over to another desk where you need to show the quarantine form that I mentioned earlier. And once that's done, then you can go and collect your bags.
Yeah. The process going from London to Grantley Adams, when we arrived, it was really seamless. Honestly,
Yeah.
it was. I was dreading the process when we got there, but it was so good. Everybody was really good. The process was excellent. The people there knew exactly what they needed to do, so it didn't take long. It could be a case because we had kids as well, which worked in our favor, which sped up the process. So only positive reviews from us going there and getting through the airport after a very long trip.
Yeah.
End to end, it probably took what, an hour?
Yep.
The battery.
Probably took an hour end to end. So one thing to highlight here, the government of Barbados, if you are fully vaccinated, you need to go in a quarantine location, and once the results of the PCR tests have come back and you're okay, then you can leave the quarantine location. So you can book a private quarantine, which is what we did.
Which we did, yeah.
Yeah. So we booked it for 2 nights, just in case it took longer than 24 hours. But yeah.
We booked 3 days,
Yeah.
but 2 nights.
Yeah.
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 And the good thing is our results came back within 24 hours. So the very next morning, we came in the afternoon, I think. We arrived in the afternoon, and by the next day, the early morning, it was like 6 o'clock or something like that, the results came in saying that we were all negative, so we were free to leave quarantine.
Yeah, so that was pretty good. Just going back to the airport for a bit, once you've collected your bags and you go outside, there are taxis right there that asks where you are going to. You have to take these taxis. You can't go and get your own
yeah, they're registered,
your own
and
car or anything,
managed by the government. So,
exactly.
And they can only provide certain prices. So if depending on where you go would determine the price.
Yeah, exactly.
The
and
distance from the airport.
Yeah, and they tell you the price up front, so they give you like this receipt, so you know the price up front.
Yeah, which was pretty good.
Yeah, which was pretty good.
Wanted to say as well, also remember when traveling, things may not go as perfectly. Thankfully for us, things went smoothly.
Yeah.
But you have to be prepared in the event things go left, right?
Yeah, I've heard more than one account where a person's had to stay quarantine for longer than expected. For a number of reasons. It could be a case that the caseload in Barbados is just high at the moment.
Or to wherever you're traveling.
Yeah, to wherever you're traveling, and it just takes a bit longer than expected. I have a friend as well who his test was okay, but then he was contacted by the COVID unit in Barbados saying that he sat close to someone who tested positive, so he had to quarantine for a couple of extra days as well.
Yeah.
So
bear in mind that one, you could either be found to be positive, or someone close to you can be positive. There could be delays in getting back test results, which could also mean that you need to stay a longer time in quarantine, which can be an additional expense.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind while traveling. Nothing goes perfectly. Always make sure you have a backup plan. There are some situations in Barbados currently where some people have found themselves homeless and being taken care of by the Homeless Society. I can't remember what that charity is called. So make sure, guys, that you have something, a backup plan, just in case you have to spend more time and spend more money than you anticipated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to Barbados from London. Coming back now, it's a similar process where you have to complete similar type of information. Kev, what type of information do you need to complete coming back?
Yeah, so for the you also have to do a PCR test if you're returning from a green listed country,
Which is Barbados.
Yeah, Barbados.
Yeah.
Now the difference is
At the time
that
you traveled, rather.
yeah, I think you have to take the PCR test once you're 12 years and over. So our oldest didn't have to take one, so it was just two of us who had to take the PCR test. Yeah, so you have two options for the PCR test. You can either choose to do it completely private, and you pay a bit for that. We didn't go with that option. We went with the other option, which is to go to the government facility to get it done.
The gymnasium.
Yeah, at the Wildy Gymnasium in Barbados. No, you still have to pay something. It's $100 Barbados
per person.
Yeah, which works out to about 36 pounds. So you still have to pay something, but it is cheaper.
It's much cheaper. So privately,
much cheaper than the private option.
The private option was like 300. It was 300 Barbados or something like that.
Yeah, on average, I think I found one that was US 109.
Yeah,
I think it was
something like that.
So a bit more expensive, but yeah, we decided to go with the.
And we will say why
options.
we think that isn't bad, right? So in hindsight, if we knew, well, I knew about that option, but I was like, nah, we ain't doing that. We'll just go to the gymnasium.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Anyway, can't continue.
Yeah.
Don't get me started though.
Yeah. So you have to do the test 3 days before as well. So I think we were leaving on the Monday again, and we did it on the Friday. So the gymnasium, the testing facility, that was scheduled to open at 9 o'clock. So we decided to arrive early at 8:45 to ensure that we would get away early.
8:45, right? They had people in the line. When we got there, the line was already wrapped around the building, and we got there at 8:45, thinking we early,
Yeah.
Anyway, they had people in the line from about 8 o'clock, 7:30. They had some people there from 7:30.
Yes, yep. And people had cheers and everything.
That should have told me something when we got there, right? That should have said to us, this is going to be a long one, but anyway.
Yeah. So the line, it did take a while, and it was very hot, thankfully. Yeah.
It took forever.
Yeah, it was very, very, very hot. Luckily, we had an umbrella. And
praise God for that.
Yeah, we bought water and stuff, but
listen to me. Alright, he giving you all the watered down version, right? I love my country, Barbados. Don't get me wrong, but you see that whole process to leave Barbados to get on a plane to go anywhere during COVID times, they need to get that sorted. We spent on average 4 hours.
Yeah. We
from
spent 4 hours.
4 hours. Now, no, but and they had other tourists. Now, I'm not we're not tourists. We're returning nationals, right? So for us, it was not as bad because we have family there. It was just different for us. But if you have paid for a holiday, right, you don't want to spend half your day in a line. And people told us that experience was not bad because there were some people who went up there who spent 8 hours in an entire day. There was a lady, a Canadian lady in front of us who talked about her son who had come, who came like a week before, and he spent an average the same amount of time as us, 4 hours in a line, and he was peeved. Yeah,
no, you may wonder how could you spend 8 hours
in a line
up there, but if you arrive early, let's say you arrived at, I don't know, 8 o'clock or whatever time, and you have to bear in mind that I think they close between
12 and 1 for lunch.
Is it 12 and 1?
Yes, it was. They didn't do it with us, but we heard they were planning to, but I think because of the number of people who were going
on the day, they
didn't close.
Yeah,
because when we got out, we eventually got home at, was it 12:30 or 1 o'clock? Somewhere around there, and they were still going, which was pretty good, because I was dreading them closing and then having to restart and being there for additional 2 to 3 hours trying to get our stuff sorted.
Yeah, it definitely was not.
It was an awful
easy.
experience.
I mean, thinking about it, because when we were in delay, we were saying there must be a better way.
There is a better way.
There is a better way.
And we will tell you guys, and I hope someone sends this to the government. I don't know, but that has to change. Seriously, coming in is seamless, is a beautiful experience. I was like, yeah, my country doing it, you know, Barbados doing it, but leaving, it was absolutely awful. Yes. Thing is, people still have to pay for that service. There should be some form of communication to let people know exactly what they need to do when they get there, because
before you get
if
there.
you don't do your research and you spend literally 3 hours in a line to pay, that's just to pay, right?
That's the thing, most of the time was spent to pay. So that's paying online. That's something that could shave off a massive amount of time, because once you pay, then you have to go in this other shorter line where they take your passport information and they give you a vial as well, and then once you leave,
so there's look, this is tape 5. Our camera keeps dying. Maybe we're not supposed to say this part, I don't know, but we're gonna make it quick. At the end of the day, the whole gymnasium experience was awful. There are certain things that we think can change. To pay, you can easily do that online, because they do other things online in terms of payments already. Yeah,
and that would take a massive amount out of the process, because
we were in the line for about 3.5 hours just to pay. After we paid, then we had to go in another line, like Kev said, for them to take our passport information and personal details. Again, the same way we were able to upload a lot of that information on the Bimsafe app, they can use that there again as another avenue to speed up the process. And we took about 10 to 20 minutes in that line. It was a bit longer as well. It was much shorter than the payment line, but again, that can be removed as well.
And then once you have that, then you take the vial that they give you and go to the testing area to get the test.
Now, laughable thing, right? The payment, when Kev actually went inside to pay, that took 5 minutes. When they took our information at the desk, that took about 10 minutes roughly. And then the actual testing that the nurse did to get the PCR test was probably less than 2 minutes. Honestly, it was fast.
So most of the time was just spent
standing in line waiting to pay.
Just waiting.
When I could do better.
Very painful.
Get it right.
Very, very painful.
So, honestly, other than that, it was an awesome time in Barbados. I have no other negative reviews. Everything that we did was like proper. Really, really good experience. All I would say to my Bajan people, continue to stay safe. This pandemic, this whole thing is not a joke. Just make sure you guys wear your mask, take everything serious, and wish you all the best, honestly.
And if you're a tourist traveling to Barbados, please respect the rules.
There were a couple people that we saw who just did not want to follow the rules, give people a hard time, talk about discrimination. Honestly, if you go to someone's country, just follow the rules. It's not the UK where that as lax.
To wear a mask.
They have rules, so you just follow the rules. You may not agree with everything they're doing, but just follow the rules. Follow the government guidelines. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys found this helpful. And any additional information that we think of, we'll drop it below in the description box. Remember to like and subscribe, and we hope that you get to watch more of our videos. Please come back to our channel, keep watching, and until the next one, bye-bye.
Bye.
I was finna write a song, but how I've been hella stressed. But I looked in your eyes and noticed I'm hella blessed. Staring at you on this airplane, I ain't worried about nothing, cause you got me